Oh, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. Of course, I'm MrWarrenHayes, but it's special day time, it's celebration time. The biggest event of New Japan Pro Wrestling is happening in just a couple of days. Wrestle Kingdom 16, the tradition to kick off the year with some match of the year candidates, with some great work rate, with some of your favorite stars from New Japan Pro Wrestling are all going to be gathered to give us not one, not two, but 3 nights of wild action this year. And since I'm going to sit here and start talking about, previewing the show, the big show coming up, might as well do it with New Japan connoisseur extraordinaire and a man who I have learned today is an actual lord over in England. It's my boy Lord Mags today. How you doing, Magsy?
Hello.
Should I have curtsied? Was that the proper thing? Is that what I should?
We'll let you off for this one, but for the poor shows, I expect a curtsy. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all the I just legitimately learned this morning, so I'm far behind on all the protocols, all the social graces that accompany it. So please give me a moment to open up a Wikipedia page and get acquainted with what I have to do now. I feel I should be wearing a shirt with a collar.
Yep, and a button-down tuxedo and a bow tie. That'd be perfect.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Mags, to talk about New Japan. Like you mentioned, we're going to be doing post shows of nights 1 and 2. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, specifically. We're going to be talking about nights 1 and 2. The Noah show, the Noah crossover show, I feel is its own special nugget, I guess. Maybe not entirely canon, but still, we're going to focus on nights 1 and 2. And we're going to be doing post shows for both nights of Wrestle Kingdom as well this year. So if you're watching Wrestle Kingdom live, immediately after, Lord Mags and I will be taking over the MrWarrenHayes Show stream and breaking all of that down. So hopefully you guys will join us there. But hey, let's focus on the immediate task at hand here. And even before we get into that, Magsy, I mean, look, if you even remotely, the people watching and listening right now, if you even remotely watch or listen to wrestling podcasts, you've heard Mags' name been thrown around. He does. I think you're up to 27 podcasts you're involved in right now, Mags. I think that's the count.
It's 29.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everybody else misses off too.
I'm so behind. We need to look. You're a lord. You're at 29. You're at 29 podcasts. We need to catch up, man. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Why don't you let people know what you do exactly, just in case they don't know?
Podcasts, pretty much. Just all podcasts, all day, every day. It's weird because I had no interest at all in creating a podcast in the beginning. I mean, you were one of the first people I reached out to for advice.
Sure.
If you remember back in the day about equipment and kind of like vocal style. And since then, it's just barrel rolled. I've really caught the bug for it. And I don't do it for numbers. I don't do it for clout. I do it because it's fun. It's fun having conversations. Ironically, podcasting means I've watched less wrestling than ever before because I'm talking about it rather than actually watching it. But currently, I've got a few irons in the fire. We cover MMA and UFC specifically with 5 rounds. Me and my son Carlos, and then Radioteca's a project with me, Tanner, and Matt Willis, which is really hit the ground running and really taking off. We tend to focus on football, but also dabble in a little bit of wrestling and pop culture and things like that. And in terms of wrestling, I do Changing Attitude with Tanner and Ore, where we look back at the Attitude era of WWF and kind of realize whether it was good or whether we just look at it through rose-colored glasses. we started in 1996 with Austin winning the King of the Ring. I know that's not the canonical start.
Yeah, which is often considered to be the kickoff point. Too. Yeah.
And it's not good. It's a slog to get through that 1996 era. But we're getting through and we're having a lot of fun doing that. And then I do a show called Chain Wrestling as well, where me and a buddy of mine, Sarpal, we watch and review one match a week. But the kind of caveat is that they have to link in a chain. So every week we'll put forward a pick each, which the Twitter public vote on, but that pick has to link to the match we've just talked about. So there for the chain wrestling. And then I've also brought back Badlands. Badlands, was the Mount Rushmores of wrestling. Well, in the whole kind of fallout of the Colin West stuff, Mr. Tolle, one of my partners on that show, he kind of fell well out of wrestling and didn't feel comfortable doing it. But we've got him back in, and now we're focusing in more on asking what ifs about wrestling. What if something else changed? How would it affect the rest of the wrestling world? So we've covered what if WCW was run as a third WWF brand? What if the curtain call didn't happen? What if Ultimate Warrior was a success as world champion? So yeah, we've took those kind of little macrocosm scenarios and kind of expanded out to what we think would have happened in the wrestling world.
Oh, that's very cool. So a bit of a change of pace there for Badlands, which I've been on. I was on Badlands. Sort of messed up all of your ranking systems.
Above average Mark Sanders got so much love.
Yeah, got a lot of love from Mike Sanders on that show. Good, which I don't think he got, but that's cool, man. I mean, as you can all tell, he's an extremely busy guy, and probably the best way to follow all of that is to go find him on his Twitter. Links are in the description, but we'll get to that later. We'll talk about that later. We're gonna. I can't thank you enough for making time to be here, Mags.
As I said to you in the pre-record, I would walk over hot coals to be on a Mr. WarrenHayes.
That's not what you told me. That's not the exact quote. I appreciate it, but that's not the exact quote.
Some of the viewers.
No, that's fine.
They may like Game Changer Wrestling.
Did you see that? We're recording this live, by the way, on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, which is how I record most of my stuff anyway. So if you're watching this on demand or listening to this on your favorite podcast application, thank you very much. Consider a subscription wherever you're watching. Did you see that Jeff Jarrett showed up in Game Changer Wrestling?
Well,
last night.
Make me watch that.
That was gonna say, like, there's your right.
Was he in the ring asking people if they had any gold they'd like to pawn?
People forget a lot about Jeff Jarrett. They really do. Like, I saw a lot of people getting super hot about it, like excited, like, wow, Jeff Jarrett. I'm like, y'all never really watched WCW or TNA, have you?
No. I mean, I enjoy hearing the stories that he had on the Cover on Tops of podcast that he does, but I don't really want to see him in the wrestling business.
Look, he swung a guitar at Effie, knocked him out, and he came in. He was dressed up as a cowboy, and he had a bandana over his mouth, and he had the cowboy hat, and he literally took his hat off like the Undertaker does. Like, no. No. It was hilarious. I was oh my God. But his podcast is super interesting. No, because he's worked for every company, right? Mm-hmm. Every company, well, through the 90s, but even before that, like, he's been all over the place. He's been involved in the business aspect as well, so, and I mean, he's worked with so many big names and behind the scenes on TV. Of course, he's got tons of stories to tell. I'm just, to me, Jeff Jarrett is always going to be a bit of a, how we make fun, the meme. I shouldn't say make fun. It's more like a meme. The Cody is my favorite mid-carder meme. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. Shout out to the time he was in Bullet Club. Remember that? That was fun.
Yep. Yep. Former Bullet. But listen, how many people... Look, we're going to give Jeff Jarrett a few props, okay? How many people can say that they have been a member of both Bullet Club and the Four Horsemen?
And the NWO.
And the NW... Jesus, you're right. And the NWO on top of that. The boy's done it all.
He has. I mean, he even made his own company and put himself as champion multiple times.
Oh, yes.
In the way we've seen that before. See, wrestling doesn't have one royal family.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anyway, that's the Jeff Jarrett news, but you're not here to listen to us ramble about Jeff Jarrett.
A Wrestle Kingdom prediction show would go into a 10-minute rant about Jeff Jarrett. Brilliant.
We're gonna try and keep it. We're gonna try and keep it under
I
control.
hope he wins the New Japan Rambo now.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So let's start talking about New Japan. And before we actually get into the Wrestle Kingdom card, 2021, weird year for the biggest wrestling promotion in Japan. How did you feel about New Japan over the course of 2021? I felt it was a very strange year for the company. Of course, a snake bitten one. That was the term I used a lot on the podcast. Snake bitten, where you'd get COVID popping its head in and taking people away from main events that they were trying to put together, people getting injured, the half empty arenas. How did you feel about New Japan in 2021, Mags?
Yeah, I think it has been the most affected out of the major wrestling companies in the whole of the world. Like you said, they were hammered with COVID, which meant a lot of their big stars weren't even allowed to get back into the country because of the lockdown. And then major stars like Kota Ibushi and Will Ospreay with severe injuries kind of really stunted them. It's been a poison chalice for New Japan this year, and kind of we thought that they maybe have gone back to the kind of testing other wrestlers as a champion like they did with Evil, which didn't really work. But I think they've done a good job with Shingo. I think Shingo really looks ever the world champion. I'd argue he's probably had the best year of any wrestler in the world. I think he's been absolutely superb.
Mags, I will straight out say Shingo Takagi is my wrestler of the year for 2021. There is not a single person who has wrestled as often as he had and has had good to excellent matches systematically
with anybody. The consistency is what really kind of elevates him for me. But it's also give the opportunity to some wrestlers who maybe were filler or kind of mid-carders in previous years, guys like Despe, Yoshihashi. Yoshihashi has been a revelation. Some wrestlers who wouldn't
fun G1 for Yoshihashi.
Yeah, I mean,
very good G1
dudes can call himself a champion. I mean, who would have thought?
I mean, let's not get excited. Come on now, let's not get excited. Yes, he's a 6-man tag team champion, or he was. It's like, come on,
gold is gold. That's enough gold for Jeff Jarrett to come and try and weigh it off him.
No, but I agree. It was an opportunity for some of the under guys to shine because New Japan has a storied tradition of working with a lot of outside talent. Bringing people in for events like the G1, for instance, always having maybe one or two outside players who aren't usually necessarily as consistent part of the roster to pop in. We didn't get any of that this year. There were issues with the Gaijin talent, basically, just not being around, being sent overseas, or just some talent being like, nah, I'm going home, like Ospreay did. Like, it's been a very strange year. And I'm not gonna lie, I think one of the main issues that I've had this year was the empty arenas, or the half empty arenas. Yeah. Whereas everywhere else, crowds are back, for good or ill, and I'm not saying, oh, it's a good thing that crowds are back. No, there's, I like to err on the side of caution as well, but I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But when you have everyone else, AEW, WWE, the Indies, Jeff Jarrett's new home, GCW, having full crowds back, right? And then you go back and you watch New Japan running a show at the Tokyo Dome, which is a quarter full. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Kelly is on commentary saying, oh, the sound that you hear right now is not an audio issue. It's the rain falling on the Tokyo Dome. You're like, I should not be hearing that. Like, that's insane.
It's the tumbleweed blowing past.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, that's the guys from the concessions refilling their cups of soda. It's like, that kind of stuff should not be happening. And honestly, if there's anything that I've learned with the pandemic era, with the Thunderdome era, is that the live crowd is an essential component to a wrestling match. It is the third, depending on who you're talking to, it is the third or fourth character in a wrestling show. And New Japan, man, was such a drag sometimes to watch because you don't have that energy coming across, and there's some moments during the G1 where I was like, man, this is such a slog to watch. And I knew that if the audience was a little more into it, well, not more into it, but was actually there, you could feel it. Yeah. It helped get me through it,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think they've really suffered because they've had no crowds, and especially with the arenas that they run. They look like ghost towns when you watch them. I mean, the summer struggle shows in baseball arenas, and there were like 12 people there.
It's ridiculous.
It's hard to watch, even though the wrestling could be 4-5-star wrestling, because you don't have that energy off the crowd and you don't get that reaction. It's a drag to watch. You almost feel like you're watching backyard wrestling, and it just didn't feel the same. And I dropped off from New Japan being kind of must see every event to a lot of them being missable because of it. Because, like I said, you're finding other things to entertain you whilst you're watching the show, and it's sad because we've had some really good wrestling. It's just the crowd are that extra factor that they really, really missed.
And I completely agree. The Road 2 shows why would you get into the Road 2 shows? Unless there's like a big main event, right? Because you really tune in for the important shows at this point, for the big draws, and that wasn't the case. But you know what I'll also say, and I think you as a content creator yourself, I think New Japan's attitude towards sharing stuff online, GIFs and so on. I was struck by New Japan this year. One of my videos got struck by New Japan this year. Because I had a pre-roll in my old pre-roll starting up streams. I'd have a series of animated GIFs of all sorts of, silly stuff from the world of wrestling, just, whatever. And I it just so happens that I had a couple of GIFs in there from New Japan. I had and like, again, short clips like Tanahashi smiling and then having a flash of light coming from his mouth. I had that sequence where Jay White is in the ring clapping along to Taichi's theme song, and they flagged me down for it. And I'm like, well, I think that also contributes to
Oh,
to
definitely.
bumming you out as a creator anyway.
Yeah, and it means that you can't get the coverage in terms of fans. I mean, one of the reasons why I really got into New Japan in the first place was because I was dragged into a Twitter chat about New Japan, and I went out and checked it out. And if it wasn't for that kind of a fan kind of shout it from the rooftops, this is the wrestling you need to go and see, I wouldn't have paid it any attention. But then over the last year or so, I think it's TV Asahi, the
which is really responsible. Yes.
Yeah, they've took down numerous YouTubers who would go to for New Japan information. The most prominent one for me is Wrestling and Ranting. He used to go to his videos specifically for the New Japan news, and yeah, now he no longer does it because he got that many copyright strikes, and not even from video, from images, from still images.
I know, that's the thing. That's the thing. Well, look, I don't want to get into a fair use discussion, but it's like using short clips. Like if I was using like 10-minute videos, unedited, I completely understand it, and that's I have a certain understanding of copyright law, and that's fine. But I'm using like tiny clips that loop on each other, that loop on themselves. Anyway, look, I think we're in agreement to say that that I think it also contributes to sort of pulling the plug on the enthusiasm if the creator community can't do its thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, New Japan don't have the kind of a promotional backing of AEW, of WWE, so fan momentum was huge for them. That's why they became the hottest property in like 2017,
right?
And to kind of cut that out, and it's almost like bat in the hand that feeds you. These creators and fans, you're giving them strikes or you're getting their account suspended on Twitter. They're not going to watch your show. They're not going to get other fans to watch your show. It's ridiculous.
And if anything, it just goes to show that just how important the creator community can be in promoting your product. You know?
And that's why we all should be lords.
That's why we should all be lords. All you need is 40 pounds when you think of it. That's all you need. Yeah, that's all you need. Just give them your digits, your credit card digits. You're good. Want to say hello to people joining us right now. We've got Slam Hub Wrestling. Good to see you. Welcome. We got Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling. Nice to see you as well.
Hello, guys.
And I think, yeah, there we go.
I see Tanner's in the chat.
Tanner, yes, Tanner's here as well.
Don't pay him any attention at all.
Sorry.
No,
his lordship has spoken.
Yes. I strike down on thee, Tanner, with great vengeance and furious anger.
Referencing that one belt you got. All right. Let's start talking about this card, because there's a lot to talk about. I don't think everything is worth talking 10 minutes about, but hey,
no.
let's go in. Like, first of all, the New Japan Ranbo. It's going to happen on night 1. Are you excited for the Ranbo, Mags?
No.
I mean, the winner gets the challenge for the King of Pro Wrestling 2022 trophy on night 2.
Well, the 4 winners.
Okay, yes. You excited?
No, not in the slightest. The King of Pro Wrestling trophy is the 24/7 title of New Japan. Let's it's simple as that. Our truth is Yano. That's it.
Can I say that, like, here's what's okay. I love Yano. I really do. And I've stuck with him throughout thick and thin when people did. And regardless, like, I love the Yano stuff, usually, like in the G1s. I think he had an extremely underrated match of the year last year with Hiromu Takahashi during the New Japan Cup. Was it the New Japan Cup or was it the G1? I don't quite remember. But
I think it was the Cup.
It was the Cup when they went into the elevator, right? Mm-hmm. I loved that. I thought that was fantastic. And but could it be that the King of Pro Wrestling gimmick has killed Toru Yano?
It took what was special about him.
Right?
he was a comedy wrestler when the situation called for it. Now he's a comedy wrestler all of the time, which is
kind of not
overkill.
Yeah, it's overkill, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, what's your favorite King of Pro Wrestling match?
The Christmas party one.
I think you're confused now. I think you're confused.
The one where they sellotaped each other's hands and feet to the fence. That was fun.
Legitimately, though, the Gradocon one that he did under Amateur Rules was fun. I liked it because of the novelty of it and because they really leaned hard into it. Because they had Nagata come in to explain like Amateur Rules before in the middle of the ring and have a little demonstration. And then they had Yano and Gradocon come out, and they were taking it seriously. You know, it wasn't like they weren't just goofing off. They were like, they were. But I remember reviewing
Yano's
it and saying,
quality wrestler.
And it just added. I felt it added another layer to Gradocon. You know, who a lot of people think stinks, but you know, I think it's about time that we abandoned that narrative because he doesn't. But I remember reviewing it saying, I hope they don't bring this back too often, because I think what made it interesting was the fact that it was very novel. It was well done, but I don't want it to become a thing. If it becomes a thing, I'm going to get bored of it like really, really fast. But I thought that it was a good way to do it, as opposed to, you know, just a strap match, or like you said, you know, anyway.
And do you remember when this trophy was brought in? Okada brought this trophy in.
It's entirely his fault.
Yeah, but it could have been so much more. Like when the best wrestler in the world says, I've got a trophy and we're going to go for the king of pro wrestling, that excites you. And then you find out it's going to be in ridiculous gimmick matches, like a no body slams and no corner post match. I mean, come on.
Yeah. You sort of expected it to be something interesting, but it turned out that anyway, look, I think we did good talking about the Ranbo, because there's really nothing else to say. There you go. Yano's going to be in the final four.
Yeah, we've at least got to predict our final four.
Okay. Yano, Chase Owens,
Chase,
Bad Luck Fale.
Bad luck. And I've gone for Duque.
Really?
Yeah. So disappointed. Like,
Tenzan for me.
Yeah, good shout. I mean, Kojima would be a good shout as well.
Kojima had too good of a year, though, I think, to start running around with these assholes. Excuse me.
To be relegated to this shower of shit.
The shower of shit. Shower of shit. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. I think that would be our yeah. Okay, good final four anyway. Look, it's the Ranbo. Whatever. If you don't mind, I'd just like to take a minute to say hello to Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the MrWarrenHayes show. Yeah.
And potential lady.
And yes, if I can get through with that. We're in the Commonwealth. It'll probably work for us too.
They deliver to the Canadian provinces,
to the colonies. All right, first serious match we're going to talk about. Yo versus Show is also going to be on night one. There's no real stakes to it outside of the fact that they don't like each other. But we had this match earlier this year as well. You know,
I think it's 1-1 though in terms.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's 1-1, so it's a rubber match. Yeah, you're right. It's a rubber match. Yeah. How do you feel about? Look. Let me start that back. Show fantastic. We knew he's always been fantastic. He's always been a critical favorite. Everyone's has always thrown their support behind him, and he is fantastic. He's got great matches. We know the guy has been a single star for a while. Glad to see him get his sea legs. I'm doing a chicken dance to demonstrate sea legs. Don't try to figure out what's going on in my brain. And as for Yo, turns out he had a fantastic G1. You know, excuse me, not G1. Best of Super Juniors.
Got to the final.
I know. After a very, very iffy start.
That's the New Japan way, though. If you're going to get to the final, you lose the first 4 matches.
Well,
we know this.
I mean, he I think ultimately he lost. Yeah, he lost 4, but then he consecutively won the next. I think it was 7, something like that. My numbers might be a little off, but I think he's the second best. Super Juniors performance since Shingo, who won 9 consecutively, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about this match coming up here, Magsy?
Yeah, do you know, when Roppongi 3K were a thing, I always preferred Yo, only because I felt his I just vibed with his in-ring style over Shaw's in-ring style.
Interesting.
Shaw was always the star. He was always the Shawn Michaels of the group. But I think Yo had that wrestling patter down a little bit more than Shaw did. I think this is a great way to kick off a show. This is going to be a banger. It's going to be an absolute banger.
Good, 2 fantastic light heavyweights, just tearing it up, getting the crowd into it. I think it's a very, very good idea as well.
I'm not a huge fan of the House of Torture.
Who is?
That's like the lowest of the lowest of Bullet Club. It's like the sweep ups of Bullet Club.
Yujiro's in the group. That's all you need to know.
If Evil is the leader of a group, you are in a poor group.
And you started out and you're like, yeah, Yujiro's a good guy to have on my side. Like, and I get that. You understand why they went to collect Sho, right? Because factions need their junior, right? They all do. That's like so they're like, let's go get this kid who needs a singles push, right? Gedo likes him, unquestionably, wants to give him the push. But man, House of Torture is such a drag. Yeah, it's a buzzkill. It's just the worst elements. I don't see how this helps Sho in any way, because he's really with the least interesting people, not only in Bullet Club, in fucking New Japan.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes to show just how watered down Bullet Club is now, that they've got a sub faction. It's but like I said, this match is going to be great. I think there's going to be a lot of animosity there with Shaw costing Yo the best of the Super Juniors. This is going to be an absolute banger of a show. One to really to kick off the first night. I've got Yo winning just to get a bit of revenge.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, I think this is going to be a bop of a match.
I think it's going to be great right up until we get to the finish, where they're going to do the lights out bullshit. Dick Togo's going to be at ringside suddenly with a spanner in his hands, and Yo's going to be passed out or some bullshit like that. Everything's going to be great until the finish, which I think Sho is going to win, because I think they're the guy. Because here's the thing. Here's one thing that we need to keep in mind. Magsy, Dick Togo is really good friends with Gedo and has his ear as far as the booking goes, because House of Torture is all Dick Togo's idea, right? So he wants to get this forward. He wants to push House of Torture. He wants to get it over. Hell, I don't know if you had heard the plan that Dick Togo this summer was pushing for Evil to win the belt just before the G1, so that Shingo could get it back. Just a couple of months, just to get House of Torture over.
That sounds like a very Shawn Michaels thing to do.
No, and it's a very Dick Togo thing to do. So anyway, I think Show's winning.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
God, you said it. I think Show's winning, but via unnecessary shenanigans.
I can see that.
So we're at odds straight off the bat. However, I will say hello to Connor McCabe. Good to see you, Connor. Nice to see you. And Supreet, nice to see you as well. Welcome to the chat, folks. Next match that we've got on the... Okay. Hiroshi Tanahashi and the Mega Coaches, right? Taguchi and Rocky Romero, versus the Bullet Club combination of Bullet Club's Cutest, Taiji Ishimori and El Fantasmo, and Kenta. Now, I'm going to lump this into the other match that we're having as well. LIJ, Los Ingobernables de Japón, Naito, Sonata, Bushi, versus the United Empire combination of Will Ospreay, Gradocon, and Jeff Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason why I'm lumping these all together, Mags, is that these are Road 2 shows. These are Road 2 matches.
Correct.
They're setting up stuff for night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. I should not be watching matches setting up on Wrestle Kingdom, right? I should not be watching matches setting up matches for Wrestle Kingdom.
But the issue is they don't even set up anything because those matches on that 2 are still happening, whether these matches take place or not. These should not. This is the biggest argument for Wrestle Kingdom to go back to one night, because these are filler matches. These are matches you will get on a power struggle.
There you go.
On a Dontaku. These are not Wrestle Kingdom matches.
Well, I mean, technically, look, you know, they're doing the LIJ stuff because Naito and Jeff Cobb are having a match the next night, because Gradocon and Sonata are having a match the next night. Will Ospreay's the odd man out. This match has no significance for him in any way, shape, or form.
And Bushi's only there to take the pin.
And Bushi's there to take the pin. I mean, look, we know the patterns. We know how this goes.
Of course we do.
And then the other match, right, where you've got Tanahashi and Kenta, right, who are having their match the next night. Same thing for that's pretty much it, right? Because Taguchi and Rocky Romero, they're in the 3-way. That's right. They're all in the 3-way.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like I get this if you're on a Road 2 match show, you know, setting things up, but there's no reason to have these 2 matches, which are literally just storyline matches to set up the big match. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for them to be there.
No, absolutely not. Yeah,
filler matches. I think we're in agreement, and I think it takes a lot of it takes a lot of the, I don't know, maybe the prestige a little bit away, because you're like, you know, why couldn't, like, I also understand, like, I feel like it's a very WrestleMania-ish thing to do, to want to put as many people on the card as possible. But I mean, I'm saying WrestleMania, but Wrestle Kingdom's been responsible, has been doing that as well for years now at this point.
The issue is that these 11 out of these 12 wrestlers are on the card anyway without this match.
Yeah.
So they're pulling double duty to harp up matches that are already taking place anyway. These could have been cut for me and had one big super card rather than it spread over 2 nights. It made sense the first time they did it because we're in a new world with the pandemic and stuff like that. Now it feels like they are doing it just because that's the new routine.
I don't have much to say about these matches. I mean, don't get me wrong. Talented wrestlers, all wrestlers I like. There's, you know, even Bushi.
Whoa!
Even Bushi. No, but I mean, these are all wrestlers I like. I enjoy their work tremendously. Who doesn't like Jeff Cobb? Who doesn't like Naito? Who doesn't like, you know? I'm a big El Fantasmo fan. I think he's a fantastic heel. Ishimori, I've been a big fan of his for years. So it's like, I don't know. It's there's just nothing to this. It'll be whatever, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to telegraph the finishes as well. This for me, the first match it's going to be put the faces over, so we're going to get Tanahashi winning, and then in the second match, Bushi's in there to take the pin, probably from Jeff Cobb. But yes, so we get United Empire winning one, and the Mega Coaches and the Ace winning the other. For me,
Jeff Cobb getting the pin, not Will Ospreay.
I mean, you could see Will Ospreay getting the pin, but either any of those three will come out looking dominant afterwards. So, you could see Will Ospreay getting the pin, but for me, I think Jeff Cobb going into his match with Nato makes sense.
I don't disagree. I'm just like the challenger to the champion. I think should.
I mean, that's a fair point.
We'll see what happens. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's
weird because it's the biggest pointless show of the year for New Japan. It's like
and it's also 2 piss break matches in a row. So if you need to take a dump, take yourself a you've
Keep
got plenty of time,
in, folks, for that specific moment, and you've got 25 minutes.
Take your phone, scroll through TikTok for a little while, and
there you go.
You'll be fresh for the next match.
Zeus King, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Let's move on to the next match, which I dare say is the people's main event.
Mm-hmm.
Because Katsuyori Shibata is wrestling again. I get shivered. I'm not kidding. I get shivers every time those words come out of my mouth. We don't know who he's wrestling. Catch wrestling rules, so no strikes. It's all going to be holds, so on and so forth. First of all, before we get into anything else, is Shibata returning to wrestling the best news to come out of 2021? And why is the answer yes, Mags?
Okay, so for context, I got into New Japan pretty much a few weeks after Shibata had his horrific injury. So I missed the whole kind of
fair, that's fair.
That. But I've gone back and watched some of his stuff, and he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And when he
a little crazy too.
Yeah, I mean,
just like we like him, a fantastic wrestler and a little nuts.
But when he made his comeback with Kenta, even me, who didn't see that first run, was excited, thinking, was this the start of something? And I like how they've really been patient with him. They haven't kind of rushed him back. I mean, we've seen WWE do that a lot, where wrestlers are rushed back and end up being injured for a long time. And they've made no promises. They've never promised that he's going to be back full time. This seems to be on his say so, what he feels comfortable with, and I can't argue at all with that. The 5-minute exhibition with Zack Sabre Jr. Oh my god, that was amazing. I don't
know if Kristen is still in the chat, but she can attest that I cried the whole way, like a baby. I was so happy.
Yeah. It was almost like the Daniel Bryan thing for us in the West.
Yes, absolutely.
Or the Edge return at Rumble, something that you never thought you would see again, and he was able to get in the ring and mix it up. I like the fact that they're going with the catch wrestling rules to avoid strikes to the head. That's very, very sensible. I hope it leads to more for Shibata. I hope we see more of him, maybe even to the point where he's wrestling in genuine matches. I don't want to kind of like run before we walk with him, but yeah, I would love to see him kind of having an extended run.
Okay, let's talk about the match itself, because his opponent hasn't been announced yet. So this is the thrill of this. This is the on top of Shibata coming back. He's fighting a mystery opponent, which still hasn't been announced. So we're expecting a surprise, right? Let's just get it out of the way. Who do you think he's going to be fighting, if you had to guess?
I mean, you could throw in one of the New Japan dads. That would make sense. They'd be able to keep him safe.
But is a New Japan dad a good enough surprise?
This is it. For me, it has to be Murder Grandpa.
I don't think Murder Grandpa would appreciate you lobbing him into the New Japan dads, though. I'm not calling him. I dare he would murder me. But I think for it to be as big as possible, knowing the restrictions that Japan have got in terms of bringing someone in, I think Suzuki is the big shout. He's not on any of the other card. He would have a match. I mean, he's in that whole pancreas style of wrestling. Sure.
He would be able to work a stiff match, but obviously avoid the heavy blows. I think that'd be a brilliant test for Shibata to see if he's able to hang in New Japan.
I completely agree. And Chad is also very pro Suzuki. Another name that's being thrown around a lot, who is not on the card as well, is Kota Ibushi, but we don't know if he's cleared to wrestle. We could be just keeping that under wraps to make sure that it's a nice little surprise, and that would give us a nice honorable catch style match as well, which we know Ibushi can do as well, and we'd probably all favor that because then he wouldn't be dropping himself on his neck, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Putting him in one of these matches saves him from killing himself.
Now, I want to posit a theory here, okay? I don't buy that Shibata is a little porcelain doll, and then we have to be careful. If he's coming back, he's coming back. And I don't think New Japan would clear him if there was any danger of him being hurt by getting like a back fist or, eating a German suplex. I sincerely don't, okay? Because his injury was catastrophic. We cannot forget that. So if he's back, I think he's fully medically cleared to do it. Now, hear me out. I'm on board with the Suzuki thing. And this is what I think the setup is going to be. I think they're going to do the bit of a catch style. Suzuki's going to get fucking mad. And he is going to kick the shit out of Shibata. What does this create then? Because if they do that, it is perfectly booked. They're playing off the sympathy, right? The emotion that we have at Shibata coming back, oh, please be careful kind of thing. But Suzuki doesn't give a shit. Why would Suzuki care? You're fighting me? You're in a wrestling match with me? Okay, pal. Sorry to say, I don't give a shit. If you're ready to wrestle, you're ready to go. And he kicks the shit out of him. So instantly, ultra babyface, Katsuyori Shibata. Like, straight off the bat, crowd sympathy and ultra mega heel, Suzuki-gun leader, Minoru Suzuki, right? He doesn't get... I was even thinking maybe Kenta's going to be the guy to show up, pulling double duty. But then I sort of thought, nah, it doesn't make sense. They're really focusing on the US title the next night with Tanahashi. It's like... I think it'd be just a little too much, and I think we can pay off the Kenta stuff down the road a little more as well. I think, a little more of a build. But I think in the meantime, to build a comeback, like a proper comeback for Shibata, I don't think they're going to stick to the catch rules. I really don't.
I mean, I could go one better.
Go ahead.
The Suzuki lays Shibata out with the Gotch-style pile driver.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the point.
Oof.
That's the point.
Those Japanese fans would be tutting.
But that's the thing. It's like you end him. Suzuki just ends him with shit that he's not supposed to be doing. Suzuki gets disqualified, right? Because if he starts striking, well, then the match ends. But since when did anyone in Suzuki-gun care about that kind of stuff? Zack Sabre Jr., he played nice because he has history with Shibata. Like, there's a whole other thing. That's cool, and that I feel was really an exhibition. But I failed to see how pulling another exhibition, pure and simple, is going to get us excited for Shibata coming. I think there's something here.
That would be amazing. Worrying, absolutely worrying. I mean, I think we would all be holding our breath like we did with Daniel Bryan.
Exactly.
But it would be amazing.
Exactly like when Daniel Bryan came back and then people started dropping him on his head, and then the motherfucker would start overselling, going, and you're like, Jesus Christ, his neck.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's exactly what they need to do, I think. It'd be fantastic. Anyway.
It would.
In the context, let's say, that we get a proper catch wrestling match, regardless of the opponent. Shibata wins?
If it comes down to clear wrestling, yeah. If it comes down to murder grandpa murdering people, he still wins just via disqualification.
There you go. All right, next match we are going to talk about is the never openweight title. Tomohiro Ishii, current never champion, won it from Jay White over in the United States, versus the leader of the House of Torture. Has there ever been a more appropriately named group than House of Torture? Like, anyway, Evil is, of course, what I'm referencing here. Walk me through this one, Mags. What's the deal? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Big Tommy Ishii as never champion. All is right with the wrestling world when you can say those words. 6 times champion. And also Evil's going to be in the match. So that's cool. But no, these two generally usually have a really good bout. Very hard hitting.
They're usually pretty good with each other. Yes, I agree.
I am just tired of Evil. I'd never liked the switch to Bullet Club in the first place. I don't think his character work has been any good in drawing new fans in. Yeah, I'm just over Evil. So yeah, I want Ishii to beat the living piss out of him. But I think we're going to have Evil winning multiple titles on this Wrestle Kingdom because, like I said, Gedo has Dick Togo has the ear of Gedo. Gedo obviously sees a hell of a lot in Evil in the first place. But I don't want to see Ishii not with that title. It fits him like a glove.
But I think this is a House of Torture's event. This is where, for every dumbass idea that Dick Togo has pushed to Gedo and Gedo said no, I'm convinced that Gedo was like, look, we'll get the mid-card titles on your boys at Wrestle Kingdom. How about that? And I'm pretty sure that shut Dick Togo up for a bunch of stuff. Because and I think it starts here. I think we get never openweight champion Evil, Tommy Ishii back to just being the MVP of everything, and it stinks, man. Because I'm with you. The whole Evil stuff it doesn't work. It doesn't click. The whole House of Torture stuff doesn't work for me.
And what would really be a kicker for me as well is they've done so well in elevating this never title.
Which is officially it's officially the secondary title of the company.
But it's gone from like Goto and Ishii trading it. Then it got elevated with Jay White and Tanahashi having battles. And Shingo. And then we're dropping it back down to Evil. Yeah, it just
dropping it back down. Yeah. No, yeah. But I mean I had a chit chat with someone not too long ago about House of Torture, and the person I was chit chatting was like, well, it's weird that people get so upset because that's what Bullet Club used to do, right? They used to run in and shenanigan their way to victories, and everyone was mad at Bullet Club. But the counter argument that I brought is that Bullet Club, when at their apex, when they were doing the run-ins and ruining the sport of kings, they had so much talent, whether it was Prince Devitt or AJ Styles or Kenny Omega, who was at the helm. Everyone in that group were fantastic wrestlers. There was what made it frustrating was that you knew that none of these guys needed to do that to win, because they were just fantastic wrestlers, and that's what added to the frustration of it. Here you have the slogs of New Japan.
I think the issue for me with Bullet Club is that it became too popular for its own good.
Sure.
It feels very NWO-esque now. I mean, I know it was always kind of like based off NWO, but now it's getting to NWO 2000 territory where there's so many offshoots and everybody's a member. It was always better when there was a core group, all like I said, talented wrestlers. Now, the core group is still very talented, but there's a lot of hanger-oners who shouldn't be in that group. And when you have to create a sub-faction to keep some of those groups entertained, it means that there's too many irons in the fire with Bullet Club.
No, and that I completely agree. But maybe is that the legacy of the Elite, right? Because I feel like the sub-faction stuff really started around there, where you had the Elite, then you had Tama Tonga kind of getting pissed off, and this, then you had the Firing Squad, that's when you started to feel like things were branching into different like groups, and no one was really talking to each other anymore.
Yeah, and Bullet Club became a t-shirt company. I mean, for as much grief you give AEW for being a t-shirt company, Bullet Club were the original t-shirt company.
Blame the Jacksons.
Yeah, exactly. Blame them goddamn Jacksons. But yeah, it's just grown and for me, outgrown. I mean, you've even got Bullet Club USA now with the guys on New Japan Strong. It's
sure.
it's overkill. I think Bullet Club needs to cull the fat, I suppose.
When's the last time we had a Bullet Club group picture? Either all in the ring and I think it really is last year. There was one picture where you had Jay White there when he, after Kenny left. You had Jay White, you had Gedo, you had the God, you had all the guys. It's been a while. While.
I think they were the whole crowd for Summer Struggle. That was the crowd. Just Bullet Club.
Just all in the audience there.
Seat fillers.
Anyway, so clearly we both think that that Ishii's dropping the belt, and I think I think the patterns are there.
You hit the nail on the head that this is the tournament, or this is the event for House of Torture to give them some credibility. Will it work? Not for me, but it's going to happen whether we like it or not.
Whether we like it or not. The IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles are going to be put on the line as well. Dangerous Tekkers versus Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. Mm-hmm. I don't care.
What? How dare you? Dangerous Tekkers are everything. They are absolutely amazing.
I don't care. Look, if the moment New Japan starts to show me that it really does care about its tag team division, I'll get into it. But
ironically, when I first got into New Japan, tag teams were the thing.
Hey, World Tag League was a not miss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you watch World Tag League this year, Mags?
Not one.
I didn't watch it either.
Yeah. And if the winners of World Tag League are Goto, who is amazing as a wrestler, but as a character, and Yoshihashi, who I have eaten white bread with nothing on that had more charisma than Yoshihashi. But he is a former champion now. And maybe after this, he could be a 2-time champion. Maybe after the whole of Wrestle Kingdom, he may be a double champion. Think about that and your New Japan love.
Here's the thing. Like, you know, Yoshihashi will probably always be like one of my favorite go-tos to sort of meme on, because he's very, very, very memeable. But
props to when he fell over and busted his head open getting into a ring.
Poor guy. But the thing though with Yoshihashi is that he's really becoming a dependable, solid worker.
A good hand.
Like I think his ceiling is clear. How about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense.
And because I think one of the I think the story of the G1 this year, which was not a great G1, was fine, but this wasn't your typical G1 where you had every other night a 5-star match, or even some nights where you had 2, 3, it's like it was fine. But I think the story of the G1 this year was how the under guys performed, how fantastic they were throughout it all. Because you had Yoshihashi, who just, they don't have the score to prove that they had great matches, but you had Yoshihashi, who just had absolutely fantastic matches with everyone during the tournament. Chase Owens showed up and had a great tournament as well. Tongaloa was surprising as well. And Tamatanga, Jesus, I mean, Tamatanga had probably some of the best matches of his career in that show during the G1. So I can't fault Yoshihashi for just going all out, being absolutely giving everything he's got, but for me, his presentation, the way there's something that just doesn't connect,
Yeah, I get that, but he has been with the company for 13 years. He's certainly paid his dues. I think his run as part of the 6-men openweight champions is a record, and 454 days.
Good for him.
Yeah, but I think it's just New Japan kind of giving him his flowers for a job adequately done.
Sure, absolutely.
And then you've also got to take into account history with the tag titles at Wrestle Kingdom. More often than not, I think it's 7-4 that the champions going in have not been gotten to retain.
Okay.
So taking that into account, the odds are looking good in the favor for Yoshi and Goto. They've had title matches in the run up this year where they've just fell short, which does suggest that this is going to be their moment in the sun. But I can't go against my boy Tachi. Me and Tachi are both lords, you see. So us lords have to stick together.
You do have to stick together. Yes. Do you have the theme song?
I sing it myself as well.
Jesus, please, everyone, please stay. Don't please continue. Please
Clip
stay
that.
with us.
Clip and gif that.
So are you telling me that the champions might not retain? Is that what No, you're saying that the champions will retain because you have to...
I want the champions to retain. History dictates that they won't, but I want them to retain.
I really don't care. And it's not because I don't like the people involved. Again, I love Zack Sabre Jr. I absolutely love him. I just don't, if a company doesn't care about something, why would I care about it? If they don't, if New Japan doesn't put any stock in its tag team division, I don't give a shit. So, but I think Goto and Yoshihashi are going to make the go there. They didn't. So they kind of did.
Wow.
IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Champion El Desperado versus one of my favorite wrestlers, Hiromu Takahashi.
Both of these are my favorite. Both of these.
Look, these guys had one of the best matches of 2020.
One of the best feuds.
Oh,
the
feud as
whole,
well.
The feud was
But you know
amazing.
what match I'm talking about, right? The match where, you know, the
mask grip,
the mask grip, and Desperado was like, "Oh, you son of a bitch," and it just got really, really personal. Loved that match. One of my favorites of 2020. I'm glad they're running this again because it's going to be good. It's going to be on the big stage. Takahashi knows how to turn it up for the big events. Desperado, I think you have to be blind at this point to not realize the value that El Desperado has for the junior division. Right?
Just go back and watch his G1 match against Ishii, where he sold like an absolute champ. That for me was his come up match, and then going into this feud with Takahashi afterwards. Yeah, this guy is an absolute star. I was really drawn to him when I first came into New Japan Wrestling, and now even more so. I love his character. He's brilliant.
It's fantastic stuff, and I'm really excited for this match. I love me a good juniors match especially when you have two of the best. Look, you have a world class, transcendent star, in my opinion, in Takahashi. Right, Hiromu has the thing. Not only is he an excellent wrestler, but he's got that thing. He's got the thing, you know.
He's crazy as a box of frogs.
On top of it all, he's a great wrestler. He's charismatic like you wouldn't believe, and he's crazy like a box of frogs. That's a perfect storm right there. Desperado is an amazing wrestler. Just absolutely fantastic at what he does. Who do you got? This is the tricky one.
It's really tough because the head says go with Hiromu because he's the absolute star. He's up there with the biggest stars in the company. But you need somebody on his level for him to battle against. There's no point you being the very best in the division and everybody else is so far underneath you that it doesn't look viable as a challenger. So
sure,
I can see reasons to go for both. But this feels to me like it's going to be, aside from the House of Torture stuff, this is going to be a feel good Wrestle Kingdom, especially going into the Noah show a couple of days after. I think that this is going to be a show to send fans home happy, and fans go home happy with a Hiromu win.
I think so too. I have a theory, but I think it'll connect. It connects also to the heavyweight championship, but we'll talk about that. So I'll expand on that. But I think there is a part of this where it's like send the fans home happy. Hiromu is a fan favorite in Japan, in North America. Everybody loves the dude because he's got that sort of weird transcendent charisma that just makes him completely likable, on top of the fact that he's dynamite to watch. This match has the potential to tear the house down. I think this is really like the first match of night one where you can expect a 4.5 to 5 star match kind of thing, you know.
I mean, maybe the opener with Show and Yo that could be potentially a banger of a match, but certainly this will be one you expect to be touching 5 stars.
IWGP World Heavyweight Championship will be defended on both nights, but on night one, champion Shingo Takagi, my wrestler of the year, versus Kazuchika Okada, a multiple-time wrestler of the year for multiple people.
will almost definitely go down in the annals of history as Mount Rushmore quality wrestler.
One of the greatest of all time. Absolutely,
Yeah, absolutely.
unquestionably. Take the ball here. See, start us off on this one. Mag, Shingo, Okada. You can't go wrong with that combo, if you ask me.
No, I mean, this is just, it's heaven. It's a dream match. I mean, I know we've had it a couple of times already this year. I think we had it when Shingo eliminated Okada from the New Japan Cup.
And Okada also stepped in to replace Will Ospreay when he was out.
Yep. So it's there's a lot of history there. Shingo, he's had one of the best years of a wrestler in the whole world, and he's been criminally overlooked. His matches with Tanahashi, with Ishii, Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. have been absolutely amazing. And Okada, we've seen him transition over the last 3 or 4 years from tourist balloon Okada to money clip Okada, to no pants Okada, to short shorts Okada. Now we're getting Okada back as the Rainmaker.
Yeah,
we've seen him use the Rainmaker as a finisher a lot more now. This is going to slap. Mm-hmm. This is going to. I mean, these two have such underrated chemistry. Shingo's my boy. I love Shingo. From the minute he stepped into New Japan, he was someone who I was instantly attracted to in terms of wrestling. But this is going to be let's please the fans show, and the fans will be pleased with Okada on top. Shingo, for me, feels like he's in the Diesel era of New Japan, where
that stings, but I get what you mean. But it stings.
The crowds are down. The crowds are down. The viewing is at an all-time low, and as champion, you bear the brunt for that, whether you're putting on 5-star matches or not. And unfortunately, that's a stain on the legacy of him as champion, I think. And I think the hope is Okada back on top, gets more eyes on the product, brings back some of those kind of disillusioned fans, because Okada is. Yeah. He transcends wrestling in Japan. So, yeah, I think we see the Rainmaker walk out with that horrific butterfly belt. I hate that belt. I hate it.
I loathe everything about it. Well, you made my point.
The Divas title.
Yeah, exactly. But you made my point, though. I think Okada winning the world title is the way to go moving forward, because it was such a dismal year for New Japan. I think that business-wise, look, objectively speaking, if we can look back on Shingo's reign and we can say, look, he had an unprecedented worldwide problem that contributed to him not drawing crowds, right? I mean, it's
like Drew McIntyre.
Exactly, So, I mean, there's only so much that you can blame, but I do get your point. And I think that New Japan isn't in a position to take any risks in 2022. Might as well come back with the old stalwarts, which is kind of why I think Hiromu wins. And it's kind of why I think Okada is going to walk out of all of Wrestle Kingdom with the title. We're going to get to that when we start talking about night 2. But I think that's what makes the most sense, because it is outside of putting it on Tanahashi, on your John Cena, right? Outside of that, it is the safest move. And I don't blame New Japan at all for making safe moves.
It's the sensible pick.
Because they can't. This will not. I'm curious to see what their financials are going to look like once they're released at the beginning of the year. But 2021 will not have been a good year for New Japan. No, absolutely not. On live events and for streaming as well. I'm convinced it's not. And some of it is not their fault. Some of it is. I think dropping in streaming, I think they have themselves to blame. If that's my gut feeling. I don't think I think their subscriber base is going to be down.
Evil as champion.
That
was their own fault.
There's shit you just have to come to grips with, right? So I think that you have to play it safe. And we're going to see New Japan in 2022 run early on Okada and Tanahashi. We're going to see Okada and Ibushi. We're going to see the safe bets early on. They're probably going to try and get Jay White back in at some point.
Run the greatest hits. Absolutely makes sense.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because in the meantime, then you can continue building a strong upper mid card and developing new challengers and whatnot.
I would be totally on board with that, with one caveat.
Go ahead.
That Okada reinstates the original heavyweight title.
It's not happening.
They throw that stupid butterfly belt away, and in fact, they even split the RC and heavyweight titles back. Turn the title back.
I was pro unification of the IWGP heavyweight and IC titles. I was pro that. I was not pro resetting the timeline, starting a new timeline, and coming up with that disgusting belt. But honestly, it's the timeline that bothers me most, because no one wanted it. No one. Who the fuck asked for the IWGP heavyweight title timeline to be ended and restart with? No one, because the heavyweight title legitimately was respected and was considered a prize, unironically, by wrestling fans everywhere. Even people who don't follow New Japan knew that title meant something.
And it's a beautiful title. And
it's gorgeous. Yeah, AEW patterned their title off of it.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Am I getting excited? Yes, I am.
If Okada leaves that one as champion, he throws that IWGP title straight in the trash.
I hope you're right, Lord Mags.
He's got the sway to do it. He brought in a stupid King of Pro Wrestling trophy. So if he says to Gedo, I don't want that shower shit title, I'm keeping this.
Okay. Well, but I have something else to talk about, but I'll keep it for when we wrap up night 2. So that's night 1. Let's go to night 2. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles going to be on the line. The team of Flying Tiger, Tiger Mask, and Robbie Eagles. Underrated. I want to give Robbie Eagles some flowers, because I think not enough people.
He's had a great year.
Fantastic year. And a great, entertaining, albeit short run as junior champ. But he's had a fantastic year. He had such a good match with El Desperado this year. Good stuff. He needs some flowers. So, Flying Tiger, basically him and Tiger Mask. Bullet Club's Cutest, Taiji Shimori and El Fantasmo, versus the Mega Coaches, Taguchi and Rocky Romero. If there is a set of titles that I care less about than the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles, it is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Unify your weight classes, New Japan. This is stupid, and it would probably save. It would change the complexion of your tag team division. This is dumb. Stop. I don't care who wins this match.
I mean, in the juniors, at least there's a little bit of competition there. At least there are some almost genuine tag teams. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's enough talent all the way through the tag divisions to warrant two weight classes. And I don't like the look of the tag titles anyway. Both the heavyweight and the lightweight. That flat metal plate, they look so tacky. Such a tacky title.
It's all bad. Who wins?
Yeah.
I mean, now it's all bad. Again, people in this match: Ishimori, Phantasmo, Robbie Eagles, Rocky Romero, all fantastic wrestlers. Don't get me wrong. I don't care.
And this is another title as well that historically changes hands at Wrestle Kingdom. I think last year with Kanemaru and Desperado returning, that was the first time in about 5 years that the champion had returned. So that dictates that we're going to see new champions. But I don't want Robbie Eagles to drop this title yet. I think, like I said, he's had a brilliant year. I think him and Tiger Mask have been a surprisingly good tag team. But I also do like the mega coaches. Taguchi has been so good for so long, and Rocky Romero, after having like a bit of a break, now back in 100%. But after all that, I'm going with the cutest tag team.
Just because I'm a big Phantasmal guy, so
yeah, he's so good.
I'm a sucker for an old school gimmick like the loaded boot. Like that is such an old school gimmick. It's like, what? My boots are fine. Like, and anyway, fine, good. Next match that we're getting on night 2 is a Stardom match.
Mm-hmm.
The icon of Stardom, Mayu Iwatani, and
on
Starlight
the main
Kid.
card as well. On the main card.
Amazing. Not a dark match. Not on the pre-show, and it's second from the bottom. Fantastic stuff. Mayu and Starlight Kid versus Tam Nakano and Sayak Kamitani. Nakano and Saya had a fantastic match for the Wonder of Stardom title. I'm still confused on the Stardom title names. Like, that's the one thing that I have to get down. But they had a fantastic match a couple of days ago at Queendom. Absolute, like if it hadn't been for the main event, that would have been my match of the night. But now they're going to be in a tag team together against Mayu, perennial, transcendent Stardom icon, versus Starlight Kid, who is a little shit. Well, I mean, she is. She's a bad guy. She's literally. She's one of the heeliest heels in Stardom, up with one of the top babyface. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. What do you tell me about this match?
I know very little about Stardom, and but our mutual friend Pup will hate me for this because I keep promising that I'm going to get into Stardom, but it's just a Tam thing. But I know he's a massive Tam fan, but
with reason.
Mayu is essentially the Tanahashi of Stardom.
Yep.
This is going to be an amazing kind of showcase for Stardom. I think these are all going to go all out, and I think the issue is going to be the teams getting along. And I know that Tam and Saya have had beef recently, fighting for that Wonder of Stardom title. So I think that's going to be the kicker. So I think we're going to see the Tanahashi of Stardom, Mayu Iwatani, and Starlight Kid pick up the victory.
Who I think are currently yes, well, it's not that I think. Mayu is, a big star. She's a big deal for Stardom. And Starlight Kid, currently, from what I understand, because I'm slowly getting accustomed to Stardom. I'm watching it a little more, understanding how things go. Like,
I think she's the high speed champion,
and she's the high speed champion, and she's a little shit. Like, but that's how everyone refers to her. And I think that Stardom sees a lot in her to move the brand forward as well, because she has the look, she has the mask, right? On top of that, like, she, I think this is a well-constructed, put-together tag team match. I don't know how much, Stardom storylines are going to pour into this, but I'm telling you.
Are these all in different factions? I don't think there's any aligned factions, are there?
I don't think anyone is aligned here.
Mm-hmm.
Starlight Kid she's in Odeo Tai, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. She's semi the leader, because now Momo's in it too.
Iwatani's in Stars, I think.
She's in Stars. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't know if there's going to be all that much. I think it's going to be a good showcase again. And you know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton doing a fantastic job putting these women over, diving into the history, because they did such a fucking good job at the last Stardom show that they match that they had. I think it was this summer at the or late spring, early summer, the empty Tokyo Dome show that they did. They had a Stardom match there too, and Charlton and Kelly were just all over it, walking us through the alliances and who these women were, and making you understand that, you know, there's history here, and it's just and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to more Stardom getting more and more of a presence in North America. I think they're going to do a big push in 2022 to get some of the North American market, because I think they see how much is blowing up. I know Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling they're leaning hard into it. Look, they're getting English commentary. They're getting English language commentary on their shows. That should tell you all you need to know.
Yeah.
From that point on. That's all you need to know.
That will go a long way to kind of broadening the audience.
Absolutely. And I know there's Joshi purists that would like that to not happen, but these companies got to grow, man. It can't stay a little intimate.
So listen, Pup, listen, JD, we need English commentary, or else we're not going to watch.
Because the thing is, look, here's the thing. Here's the very basic thing, and I can understand how you feel attached, you know, to the presentation. That's what it got it into, and changes sometimes are scary. But if there's growth, if the company does better, makes more money, then that means these women can negotiate better salaries for themselves. It's good for the talent. It's good for the fans. It's good for everyone. And then on top of that, Rossi's making more money, so he's happy.
Yeah, exactly.
You can buy more hats.
And then instead of being second on the card, maybe we see a Stardom match further up the card, maybe in the co-main spot.
I am so stoked that Bushiroad is having this type of synergy. I really, really am. And I hope it continues. And I really do. I hope it continues, and I hope it can also trickle down as well. Like it'd be dope if, you know, some New Japan guys show up on Stardom cards, but not necessarily to wrestle. Have them pop up on commentary, stuff like that. You know, just have it. Just this synergy here. I'm not saying all of a sudden New Japan needs a women's division. That's not what I'm saying either. I understand the dynamics of. No, I'm not getting into that. I just want to make it clear. Oh God, trust me. But what I am saying is that this type of dynamic, right? Just some crisscrossing, some crossovers instead of like integration. I think that's exciting. I literally
said that maybe 30 seconds ago.
You said that?
I did.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't
listening.
No, I'm kidding. No, but I was trying to sort it out in my brain, I guess. You know,
it makes sense. If Bushiroad owns both companies, it makes absolute sense to have that crossover and that cross promotion.
Yeah, absolutely. The never open weight 6-man tag team titles.
Oh, so we're just glossing over the King of Pro Wrestling 4-way match, are we? Sir?
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're right. Well,
Yano
okay.
Wins the end.
Yano wins the end?
Yeah.
Whoever it is. It's a 4-way match for the trophy.
That nobody will care about.
I will care just slightly more regarding the never open weight 6-man tag titles. Evil, Yujiro, and Sho versus Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, like, everything that has to do with the tags, with any, it doesn't connect with me. If anything, look, the never open weight titles are a little more fun because you feel the factions, right? You feel the groups, and that's dope, you know. But are you telling me that House of Torture is going to walk out with the 6-man tag belts?
Yes.
Okay.
That will happen.
And Evil will be a dual champion by the end of...
It's going to happen. We don't like it, but we have to accept it. I think it'll be a great match. I mean, we've spoke already about 4 of these wrestlers being good, then also Evil and Takahashi being involved. But it should be a decent match. But it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. This is just putting titles on to pad people's records, I suppose. But yeah, Evil is going to walk out of Wrestle Kingdom double champion. Great start to 2022, folks.
2022 shows violence.
This will be a fun match, guys.
Hey, now. I will not take any trademark slander here. Look, okay, let's just move along. Sonata versus Gradocon in a singles match. Mm-hmm. I really grew to like Gradocon in 2021. I think that the matches that he was put in really showcased a variety, the variety of wrestling that he's capable of doing, as opposed to a lot of people who just immediately pigeonholed him into this, oh, he's just a big goon, he's just another big guy. He's done fantastic stuff this year, showing that he could, especially during the G1, grappling he did grappling. He had that fantastic MMA style fight with Ibushi as well, where I was like, look at him go. And he has MMA training, but when you see it, that's when it all sinks in. And you're like, okay, look at this guy go. Great stuff.
And even if you go back to Wrestle Kingdom from last year, his match against Tanahashi, that really showed that he wasn't just a bruiser in the ring. He had wrestling chops, and then I think he wrestled the New Japan Dads throughout the early parts of the year. And then he went up against Tanahashi again. Was it Castle Attack? And again showed his wrestling chops. I wasn't sold on the kind of Mongolian style gimmick at first, but when you cut away all that extra, as a wrestler, he's really, really good. He's really entertaining. He's somebody you could see legitimately get a push to the upper echelons of the card. And then he's going up against Sonata, who should have been champion 3-4 years ago. They've really missed the boat for me on Sonata.
I think so.
Whether that is down to him not essentially having a character. I don't know. This Cold Stone character doesn't really get over with me, but he's a handsome devil. So that kind of sells it up for me. But he will always have great matches, very much like Ishii, where you can depend on him to have a really, really good match.
It's like I feel with Sonata, I feel like he's over, but not in North America that much. Weird, right?
It feels to me that he's reached a glass ceiling. That he will always look like a legitimate challenger, but never have that stroke to be pushed that extra level. And I think, like you said, a lot of it is because maybe he's not a worldwide recognized figure like a Nato, like a Nakano, like even a Hiromu. He doesn't have that worldwide presence. So pushing him as champion, that would maybe regress your audience a little bit. But he will always put on absolute bangers of a match, and I have no doubt that this will be a banger of a match.
I would have no problem having a world champion Sonata any day than a world champion Evil. Any day. Any day.
Evil that's how sad it is. Evil's going to walk out of Wrestle Kingdom double champion, and Sonata is going to walk out losing to Gradocon.
There we go. We are in agreement. I think Gradocon is picking up the win here too.
Who would have thought out of that tag team of Sonata and Evil that Sonata would be the Janetta?
I know.
That's ridiculous.
Tetsuya Naito will be taking on Jeff Cobb in a match that I think is extremely understated. People aren't excited enough about. Probably if you're not excited for this match, you probably haven't watched Jeff Cobb destroy everyone in the G1 this year. He has been an absolute force of nature, and he's been fantastic. He had a great final, the semifinal, final of the block. There you go, with Kazuchika Okada, and he's just been such a welcome addition to the New Japan roster officially. Like, he's been in and out, sure, but he's signed with New Japan, so he's officially on board. He's not just coming in to do a G1 and hit the bricks. He's a welcome addition to the New Japan roster. Fantastic, and he's coming to his own. You know who Jeff Cobb is now. He knows who he is too. I feel like his in-ring persona, how he portrays himself. This is going to be an absolute delight against Naito, who is entirely capable of wrestling any style at all, right? Naito's just great.
Yeah, and I've got to kind of rubber stamp the year that Jeff Cobb's had in New Japan. It's been phenomenal. Only lost once in his whole G1 run. That's
against Kazuchika Okada. So you're like,
yeah, and
that's fine.
His matches with Okada all the way throughout the year have been phenomenal. He had a great match with Ibushi, I think, at Dominion. That was a banger. His match last Wrestle Kingdom against Shingo for the openweight title, another banger. He's had a brilliant year. Whereas you look at Naito, he's had a terrible year. Lost both of his titles. Got injured. Was eliminated in the New Japan Cup in the first round. He's had a horrid year. I think the only time he's had any kind of modicum of success is him and Sonata being tag champions for a cup of coffee.
But isn't that? But that's it, right? That's your redemption. Your Naito, right?
Yeah, he does
that's Naito's booking. That's how we'll give him the title, and then we'll sink him, and then the LIJ fans are all going to get mad. Like
that's his career. His career is one huge roller coaster.
Yeah.
Every time he gets to the peak, it's a massive downhill trajectory into the basement again. He may be the most poison chalice wrestler that there has been in New Japan. But
I still, if I can put my tinfoil hat on for a second, I'm still not convinced that he was legitimately injured in the G1. I still don't. I think it was because it turned out to be a really interesting story, which really favored Zack Sabre Jr., I find. I don't know. Because it sent a little interesting wrinkle. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You may well be right, because if there's one part of Nato's wrestling game that stands out, and he has got a phenomenal wrestling game, it's his selling of injuries. It's him looking like he has been broken down and beat to a pulp, and then to still be able to come back. He works the best when he's in that position.
And to not be able, like, for New Japan to say, "Oh, you're injured, take some time off," you have to be really injured. Like, this is, again, there's history behind this. There's an expectation of you to work throughout most of your pain. And I find it weird. Again, this is very, very much tinfoil. I'm not trying to start any rumors or be like, but take it out of the G1, and a month and a half later he's back. Was he really that? Like, I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, got off track here.
As we both said, this is going to be a banger match. Yeah. Arguably, potentially match of the weekend, or the match of the tournament, the event
of the event.
Say. Yeah, Cobb has been superb, and I think his year has been too good to lose to Naito.
Okay, that's interesting. Look, I think history would tell us that Naito's going to lose, because Wrestle Kingdom is not his friend.
No, Gedo is not his friend.
Gedo's not his friend. But on top of that, Jeff Cobb has had a fantastic year. Why not crown it with a Wrestle Kingdom win against one of the top guys in the company. Why not?
Mm-hmm. And it also adds more gravitas to the United Empire, especially if Khan picks up the victory against Sonata, which they may need when we get to the main event.
IWGP United States Heavyweight Title. It's a no disqualifications match.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Kenta taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi. Interesting one to come around. Did you know that Kenta is very proud to be an American because he has a Costco card? Yeah. Did you see that one?
I did. I love Kenta with this title. I think it fits him like a glove. And I also like the fact that Tanahashi's had hold of the title. That really kind of it lifts the title up. Especially yes. It was almost like a cursed title when Moxley was champion, wasn't able to really kind of defend it in Japan, and it felt like that title, after such a good start with the likes of Jay White and Kenny and Cody having the title, it felt like it meant something. And then when it was trapped in America and you never saw it, it fell down the card pretty hard. So I like the fact that there's a lot going into this feud. These two have had some great matches over the last year or so. Kenta, just phenomenal. Where was this Kenta in WWE? If this Kenta was in WWE, he would have been multiple-time champion.
We know why. Yeah, the thing is that we know why.
And it's such a shame. But going no DQ, this is going to play into Kenta's hands, I think, more because he's a sneaky little devil. I think he comes out and wins just because he hasn't had the title for that long. But this is going to be a great match, and I think the reason why I picked Tanahashi in Night 1 to win is because he's not going to win in Night 2.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. I disagree with you, by the way, in regards but in regards to the prestige of the IWGP US title. I think it is Moxley that gave it, because Kenny's run was super short. Mm-hmm. Jay White, as fondly as we consider Jay White now, back then, he was fresh off of his Young Lion run, and he was still developing he was the knife pervert, right? At that point, mm-hmm. I don't think he brought anything special to it, and I don't think Cody brought anything special to it. I think maybe we look back with them being such big stars now.
Yeah, name value.
But back then, I distinctly remember the IWGP US title being a bit of a joke. I mean, like, whoever does it, like, who cares, really? Then Jon Moxley gets his mitts on it, after winning it off of Lance Archer, in a match where you're like, holy shit. And then we start getting the big name matches, because remember, Moxley had 2 reigns with it. Let's not forget that. And I think it's his first reign where he started fighting the people we wanted him to fight for, on top of that, for the title, that really got people excited about it. And I think that since then, I think Moxley did make the US title. On top of that, he is the guy who, look, I don't want, I'm trying to pick my words here, but he comes across as the most American, right? Big brawler dude, like, just doesn't give a shit, comes in, kicks people's ass, and leaves, right? Like, it all kind of meshed and felt different. The title felt different because of the guy who held it. Lance Archer helped with that as well. Like, mm-hmm. it started to feel really, really special. Now, when it comes to the future of this title, because I think that New Japan would like to lean onto this title as the title for its American brand, right? Mm-hmm. Who becomes like the face of New Japan of America? That's how I perceive this, right? Because because
because it was meant to be part of the kind of expansion into,
and I think that's
America.
still, and I think that's still the deal. I think that's why they never really took it off John Moxley, despite the fact that he hadn't defended it in months. And technically, at some point, you're like, well, you have to strip him of the title. I think that's one of the reasons why they didn't do it. Do you like Kenta? Kenta is well known in the U.S. I wouldn't say all that much because of his WWE run. I think you have to be a bit of a wrestling nerd, to pick that. But then again, do you know him all that much? Look, the point is that I think that he's pretty well known, but Hiroshi Tanahashi is much more well known.
Mm-hmm.
And New Japan, the American shows, they had trouble selling tickets. And
you're right.
And you know why? Because I think if you're a New Japan fan, you go to see a New Japan show, you want to see the Japanese guys. No disrespect to anyone who works the strong shows or whatnot, but you do want to see Okada. You do want to see Tanahashi. Those are the draws, because that's what brought you as a fan to the dance in the first place. It's these guys, right?
You mean nobody's turning up for a headliner with Juice Robinson and David Finlay? I don't believe that for an instant.
Go figure. Go figure.
I mean, they have signed someone pretty recently who that belt would look amazing on Jonah Rock.
Yeah, but I don't disagree. My point, though, is who becomes your draw? Who will people put out money to go see? I would even dare to say even Minoru Suzuki would be a good choice.
That should have happened a long time ago.
Because
a long time
and
ago.
He loves coming to the US. Are you kidding me? He loves coming to America.
Well, he recently had a mini tour and he absolutely loved it.
And everyone loves him. Like I would wager that he's more over in America than he is in Japan. I can't say for sure, but that's what my gut says. So let's say that the plan is still to use this as your main title for the US branch of New Japan. Let's say that. Do you put it on Kenta or do you put it on Tanahashi? My instinct would be to put it on Tanahashi. Send him over to the US, let him spend a couple of months here, have him rent out a nice Airbnb somewhere, like in San Diego or something nice, or in Portland, wherever, and have him set up in the US, do the tours, because I was part of a small group of people saying New Japan in 2021 should have shut down the Japanese operations, move all of their people to the US, everyone, get all your staff on the other side, run your shows from America. Every show would have sold out, because you're not holding Wrestling Duntaku in Japan. It's in fucking Texas. Sold out shows all the time, because they were doing 50% capacity because of the COVID restrictions. In the US, everything was open. Move everyone here. And I still think they should do that, because I'm sure this is going to be a terrible year financially for New Japan. Terrible, terrible, terrible year. After a record year. It's going to be terrible for them.
I agree. And I get your point of having that belt on Tanahashi, and if you can convince him to spend an elongated period in the US, that would do wonders for not only promoting this title, but also the New Japan USA and the Strong. But that's the factor. Can you get Tanahashi, who is so inextricably linked to the New Japan main roster?
Oh, I agree. The question is,
Kenta makes more sense in the US.
Look, we're talking about this without having like the financials in our faces and the accounting spreadsheets. We don't know, right? That's the point, is that we're just sitting around and looking. But like, if you there's got to be a reasonable argument to say we need to focus on making the American brand really strong and get some good gates there, because right now in Japan everything is so fucking up in the air all of the time. We don't know what's going on. We're not in control of our COVID not restrictions is the word I'm looking for. Our COVID we're not in control of the pandemic.
Cases.
Yeah. You know, Japan's been a mess. Not saying that the US is better, depends on the state, but there's live shows everywhere. Fucking Day One did almost a sold out crowd, you know, for WWE last night. AEW's been selling out. Like, I mean, at some point you're like, let's go. Let's just go for it. And it's not as if they don't have the connections to do it either, right? I don't know. Like, for sure, like I said, we're just sitting here. We don't know all the specifics, of course, but there has to be an argument to New Japan saying, let's focus on the North American stuff for a while. Let's send people over. Let's make that the center of operations. Let's run our big shows from there. Let's run Duntaku. Let's run New Year's Dash. Let's run all of this from the US for at least 6 months. And then
financially, it makes all the sense in the world to do that, because they are going to be operating at a loss this year. They have to. There is no way they have made enough money to even pay the wages of these wrestlers. So yeah, that makes absolutely all the sense in the world, but it's probably likely to not happen.
No, it's probably not going to happen. No, I'm just, you know, we're chit chatting and we're like, because I don't want New Japan to fail. Why would you want New Japan to fail? I want them to. And it's just on top of that, you bring all your top talent over. Wrestle Kingdom's done. Okada's the champion. He comes over. And then you finally get, can we get Okada versus Kenny again? Can we get Okada versus Hangman Page? You know, then you get all the dream matches, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, blah, blah, blah. Then you get all the dream matches. Then people just want to, people want to go into debt to see these matches, you know?
Correct.
Don't go into debt to watch wrestling matches, by the way. That was a joke.
Yeah, definitely do not. Especially when New Japan World is like £6.71 for the month. Don't go into debt for it.
Don't do that. Don't do that. So look, I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say Tanahashi wins.
I see the point. I see the sense. It, like, if the situation goes down how you predicted it, it makes all the sense in the world. But for me, the fact that Kenta's only just won the title, the fact that he's got that easy transition from going over to the US and Japan, I think he's a big enough name.
Yeah. Okay, you've convinced me. I'm going with Kenta. No, you're right.
Oh.
No, you're right, because I think he does have some kind of citizenship in the US, right? Like
flip-flopper. Flip-flops
sure,
on Tiffany, flip-flops on Debbie Gibson, flip-flops on this pick.
Oh my God, I have never flip-flopped on Debbie Gibson. My path. Oh my God. What is the first album you bought?
I don't, I actually tried to rack my brains and I can't remember.
Look, it's probably something like Chumbawamba, right? Some shit like that. And are you going to tell me that you are still a Chumbawamba fan to this day?
Anybody whose lead singer is called Dan but no bacon, I'm a fan of Chumbawamba. I've never bought their album.
You're just bad faith. This is a bad faith operation that you're running.
Wow.
Let's wrap this shit up. Main event. The IWGP World Heavyweight title. The winner of Takagi Okada, which I think we have both predicted is going to be Kazuchika Okada.
Yes.
Versus Will Ospreay.
Big wet wipe Willie. Billy bullshitter. Yep.
What's your take on this? How you feeling?
So do you remember when young Will said he wouldn't return to Japan until his claims by the New Japan management where he was the rightful champion, and also that he would defend his title all over the world? Yeah, none of those happened, did it? Boris Johnson. I call him the Boris Johnson of wrestling. Just full of shit.
Send that to Zack Sabre Jr. He'll have a blast with that.
But this is going to be a banger match. These two, student versus teacher. The whole point of Will Ospreay breaking away from his own faction was to challenge Okada.
Yeah, to stick it to Okada. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is going to be superb. Every time these guys have a match together, it's gangbusters. But we are going to get that feel good, and that feel good doesn't come with Wet White Willie walking out with a butterfly title. That feel good comes with Rainmaker stood atop the ring, hands held aloft, the glitter coming down, and him holding up that original RWGP heavyweight title. So
stop dreaming. Stop it, Mags. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. Cut it out.
I want him to get that butterfly belt and literally punt it into the crowd. But no, for me, Okada has to win this. You have to leave, especially going into the Noah stuff. You need, I think Okada's including some of the big matches there. You need a world champion Okada in that.
I think that's the tell. I think, unfortunately, that's the tell that Okada is winning because Nakajima is going to be there with his GHC title.
Exactly.
And Ospreay is not on the card. Ospreay is nowhere to be seen. I think they're shipping Ospreay back out after this is done, quite frankly. I don't think he's...
Can you imagine Ospreay being the head of New Japan Strong?
Absolutely. I really could.
But then would he take Cobb and Great Okada with him? I think that'd be a misfire.
No, I don't think he'd take. I don't think he takes anyone with him. You know, like I don't think they're going to the Japanese roster is already so thin, you know, without the gaijin wrestlers that they can't. I don't think they can start. Look, we saw what happened in 2021, with such a thin roster that you can't bring in people from the outside in, you know. I don't think they can. I don't think New Japan can let some of its people go off all that much and travel and go. I think it'd make sense for Ospreay to do it, but then again, wouldn't you want him around for? Because the New Japan Cup's going to pop up soon, and so on and so forth, you know.
And he's always been primed as the next breakout gaijin star.
Yeah,
and I know he's had a short run as champion, but he's been there for such a long time. I mean, I know he's still young, but he's been wrestling for New Japan for such a long time. It would make sense to keep him round and be in that mix in the upcoming events. But we need that feel good. Wrestling needs that feel good of an Okada back on top.
I'm okay
New Japan certainly needs it in terms of a fan base. So for me, Okada finishes Wrestle Kingdom and goes into Noah Show as champion.
I'm in absolute complete agreement, and I think New Japan is going to play safe this year.
They
We've
have
talked
to.
about it. I think they have to, and it makes sense. I think they have to go back to. It's going to be a year of tradition. It's going to be a year that they're going to lean on old feuds, sure things. I wouldn't even be surprised if they have Okada have another, maybe not as historic a run, but another really long reign. I wouldn't be surprised, because I think that was part and parcel of the success of New Japan in that era. I will give many props to Kenny Omega as well to have dragged in people, but I think, you know, the legendary Okada run, I think it did help build interest.
Yes,
from the West into the product, and I think they're going to lean back into that. It makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense.
Without that record-breaking Okada run, you don't get the Kenny Omega that we got.
No, you don't. So I think that's probably something else that they're going to want to do. And
maybe that's something we'll cover on Badlands for a what if.
There you go. Topics galore coming out here. Overall, Mags, Do you think what Wrestle Kingdom night do you think is going to rise above, or are both going to be perfectly equal? How do you feel about them?
I mean, there's more meat on the bone for me on night one.
Me too.
With the Shingo and Okada match, with the co-main event with Takahashi and El Desperado, and then the Show and Yo. There's a lot of filler, but
Shibata,
then again, there's a lot.
Shibata, don't forget Shibata.
The Shibata thing is
the people's main event.
If he gets murdered by Minoru Suzuki, this may be an all-time great Wrestle Kingdom. Mm-hmm. It may well be.
It could be.
And Night 2 has got some good matches, but a lot of that we're not particularly interested in. The tag matches, there's not a lot of interest there. The women's match, I think that's going to be superb. The four-way for the King of Pro Wrestling, that's going to be a nothing match. But then the main event is also going to be a banger. I mean, Will Ospreay versus Okada, you can't go wrong there. For me, I think Night 1 I'm more interested in, but I would have preferred if they cut the fat and made this into one 10-match supercard, as Wrestle Kingdom used to be.
I'm a fan of 2 nights. It really, like, I hope that it's a formula that continues, and I'm glad that WWE is doing it with WrestleMania. I really am I much prefer 2 shorter events than one 7 to 8 hour thing.
Yeah,
honestly,
that
really
makes sense. But it's padding the events out with nothing matches. That's the kicker. And especially that first night, you've got matches that are showcases for matches on the second night, which absolutely makes no sense.
Well, we're going to wrap it up then. We're going to wrap it up. And very, very quickly. Very, very quickly.
Agree.
Very, very quickly. We're not going to dive into the Noah stuff, into the third night. But let's say, because my main disappointment is that there's no singles matches. That's my main thing. I'm kind of bummed for that, because I was kind of looking forward to that. I get that,
but it also makes sense because it's a showcase.
Politically, I understand it is a showcase, but I'm going to throw it like I don't know how profound your knowledge of the Noah roster is, but if you were to have one singles match on that card, if you were like, this is the one that I would like, what would be your top crossover match?
Yano versus the Great Muta. No, it would have to be it would have to be a Carter, surely.
Okay.
Versus maybe Kiyomiya.
Yeah, sure. Which is the ace, sure, of course.
Or against Sakuraba.
Sure. Okay. That me, Nakajima and Shingo. That's to me. That's the one I feel we're getting cheated out of.
And yeah. Or this would be a slap of a match: Hiromu versus Go.
Yep. Oh God, yes, sure. But I really feel we got robbed out of Nakajima and Shingo. I really do. That was the one that was like.
My actual hope is that this becomes a yearly thing. That we will get those matches. Hopefully, Noah as they've almost kind of booked the trend in Japan with the pandemic. They've really kind of risen to prominence when they were the WCW
distant second. Distant second. Now it's kind of hard.
I see more love for Noah on my Twitter timeline than I do for New Japan.
I agree. Same here. Mags, it was a pleasure.
Was it?
Why don't you let the people know where they can find you on social media?
Well, thank you as always, and this is a shoot now. I love coming on the show. Warren has always been a massive inspiration to me. So the fact I've got 29 podcasts is directly Warren's fault. So blame him.
That's my fault.
But yeah, I'm not going to go through everything that I'm involved in because that would take more time than we've actually done predicting these matches. But I'll focus on one for today, then one for the other ones. So go and check out A Change in Attitude, which is where Tanner and Ore and our new team member, Scottish Danny, we look back at the Attitude Era of Raw to work out whether it was good or whether we watched through rose-coloured glasses. You can find that on Chairshot. But for everything else I'm involved in, it's all over my Twitter feed. That's at PodfatherMags, where I am an actual lord. So when you come and follow me, you have to bend that knee.
There you go. You have to. You have to. Yeah.
It's the law.
It's the law. It's the law. It's the law. But I appreciate you, Mags, a great deal, and thank you very much for doing this. Anyway, we're going to be seeing each other quite a bit over the next couple of days. Don't forget, folks, Mags and I were doing post shows for night 1 and night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. So if you're watching live, be sure to put in that extra little effort if you're in the Eastern Seaboard.
Early doors for you.
Yeah, come on in.
I mean, it starts at 7 o'clock in the morning for me. That's superb.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Me, it ends at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, the sun's going to be rising, and I'm going to be like, hey, welcome to the MrWarrenHayes show.
if there's one thing that you can thank New Japan for, it's giving you guys on that side of the pond a touch of what we have to put up with on a monthly basis over here.
I am not complaining. But there's no reason to complain. But Mags, thank you so much. I'll see you in a couple of days for everything. And thank you everyone for joining me and Mags live today here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, or wherever you listen or watch to this listen to this podcast or watch this. Look, whatever you did, thank you. Consider giving the video a like here on YouTube if you're around. Thank you all so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.